And you're listening to You're My Best Friend.
This is getting really spiritual.
You're my best friend.
With two of my best friends, Moxy
So we're not gonna kiss then?
and Ruben Jay.
Let me tell you this, dropping a taco is a national emergency.
I'm cutting you off!
You're listening to You're My Best Friend, a podcast about life, friendship, and tacos. Here are your hosts, the industrious Moxy and the amusing Ruben Jay.
Welcome to You're My Best Friend, a podcast about life, friendship, and tacos. My name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy Ann.
And Moxy, I'm so glad you're alive. I'm so glad that we've survived Election Day like 95. Is everyone okay? Is everyone still breathing? Everyone's anxiety is under control, I hope.
Oh man, I don't know what I can say from this end. All I know is, things are on fire. It's raining at the same time. Everybody is crying and laughing and screaming all at once. It's a mess over here. What about you?
I don't know why all of a sudden we've turned into newscasters, but everything is lively over here. There's people chanting "Stop the count," and also other people saying it's been an interesting week, to say the least. And so I hope everyone is breathing, taking those deep therapeutic breaths of fresh air, hopefully. And we're recording this on a Friday, so if Nevada decides to announce the winners between then and now, we're probably going to look.
No, that's going to be for like another 5 years at least.
Probably. It's funny because I still think that Nevada knows that Kanye West won Nevada, and they're just like, they don't know how to tell us, and they're just like. My favorite one, FYI, my favorite meme so far has been, I swear to God, if Nevada shows up with a large iced coffee. Anyway, so this week's episode is a really epic episode. I think we're going to do a great job on this one, I hope. And if we don't do a great job, then it's okay. But before we jump into this week's episode, I do want to let people know that we've been targeted. We are being attacked right now by the mainstream media, and we need your support to help us.
We do. What are we talking about?
We've been demonetized.
Oh, right, that.
We, for some reason, our host, our podcast host, has decided to demonetize our account, which really sucks. It actually really, really sucks because we were actually making some money and doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden they're like, "You losers, you get no money, no more money for you, no ads, no money. We keep your money." I don't know why you're Asian.
Is that what happens when you get fired?
I guess so. So what we need from our listeners, all 17 of you, is to head over to youtube.com/MultiMediaMouth. That's the parent company of this podcast. We are going to be releasing video versions of our podcast from here until whenever we can either find a new home or maybe permanently. Who knows? We might become a video podcast. It might work out well for us. We don't know yet. We're definitely looking at our options and trying to figure out how this is going to work. So if you can head over to that channel and subscribe to that channel, would be great. We can run ads there and do some fun stuff there, and hopefully start making some money again and continuing to be able to do this podcast, or just cancel the podcast. One of the two.
Yeah, please do go over to YouTube and subscribe to MultiMediaMouth. Even if you're not on YouTube a lot, even if you don't use that to listen to your podcasts, just that simple, click the subscribe button, that helps us out a lot, and it'll help us a lot moving forward too. And it helps us get positive reinforcement to know that people actually care about us and they're actually listening.
People care about us?
Well, just one really.
Do I know this one person?
Yeah, he's actually going to be on the show this week.
Oh, I thought it was a very nice Italian woman.
Also my grandma. We have two people.
Two people who, by the way, your grandma is not very happy with me, but we'll talk about that some other time. Lots of people's grandmas are not very happy with me right now, so we'll talk about that some other time. Moxy, this episode's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be epic. and I'm super excited. But I do real quickly just want to ask you one quick question.
Yeah.
Who did you vote for?
Man, it was a tough decision on my part. There were a lot of things to consider.
It was Kanye.
You got me.
That would be epic. Actually, if anyone did vote for Kanye, can you please DM me, because I would love to talk to you.
We will interview you on the podcast.
It's more of a health check, a mental health check than anything. But we will definitely reach out to us. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know why you did that. So hey, real quick, again, another thing is to check out the links in our description as well. To help the podcast out. We do have an Amazon account. We do have a Facebook channel. Wow. A Facebook page, as well as a Facebook group. All of these things are great, wonderful ways to support the show and help us out. So do all of that and be nice to us, because we're nice people sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, it really sucks that we got demonetized like right as we were starting to gain traction. We had a pretty tremendous summer. And it was all thanks to our fans, all thanks to you guys actually listening. I don't know how we got so many downloads. I mean, what's our total count at now?
I believe we are at 20,000.
I think we're over 20,000 now.
I'm about to find out. So stand by.
But I mean, it's all thanks to you guys that we're able to actually do things. Like, we're able to invest in better equipment. We're able to do more shoots and get more merch, and figure out better ways to interact with everyone and get connected with you guys. And that's because of you listening to our show. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your continued support. We're not sure what we're going to do about the demonetization. It really kind of severely cripples us, but that's fine.
It is my determination that we will continue with the show no matter what happens with the ads, unless Moxy wants to cancel the show. But we will talk about that off air. We're not going to have this couples counseling in the middle of a podcast.
It's frustrating too, because they haven't told us why. Like, they won't tell us what we did.
It's what the funny part is, it came out right as we had our. Did you guys lose power?
No.
Oh, it looked like you lost power. It went dark behind you. Right as we released our very first political podcast, we got demonetized. So I'm wondering, and we are on a network that's owned by German people, so maybe they just didn't like the fact that we talk politics. Who knows? But we are going to jump into this week's episode. I'm not going to throw the commercial break because we have no commercials to break. Is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're just gonna go ahead. We're gonna bring this week's episode is such a special episode because we did something that was pretty epic, I think. And Moxy didn't know about it until it happened, although she kind of planned the whole thing. So it's a really weird catch-22 that we're going to jump into the details about here in a second. But we're going to bring on our esteemed guest.
Loved?
Well, by one person at least. And we can let the people decide who that is. We are going to be talking about Miss Moxy Ann's engagement to this week's guest, Mr. Bradley Biggs, who's joining us.
What's up, guys?
Dude, how's it going?
It is going fantastic. I am just so thrilled to be back on the Best Friend Show. And, it's funny because oftentimes, right when these moments happen, something tends to not work right. And so I actually, right as we were about to just, transition into me coming in, I lost power. So here I am on my phone with my flashlight. But I can see all of you, and that's really all that matters.
Wait, hold on.
Doing great.
Did your whole house lose power or just you?
I'm not exactly sure. But we're the board is running, the mic is going, so it might just be the light. I don't know.
Hey, you're muted.
I think probably the bulb is just out.
Let's hope this episode isn't an indication of thankfully it wasn't an indication of the proposal itself. But let's just hope this isn't an omen for for this engagement.
Well, this week's episode of You're My Best Friend is entitled the title of this week's episode is The Engagement. So we are talking about how Brad asked Moxy Ann to marry him. But before we jump into that, I think Moxy needs to explain a little bit about what the event she was planning that ultimately turned into the engagement itself. So Moxy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Actually, technically, the bed is mine right now. But it's that would have been funny if people could see where I was. So this event, and this is going to sound super cheesy, it is. And this event is actually called the Royal Ball. A lot of our listeners and my friends and family and fans and people know that I was engaged previously. And this is not something that I've been super secretive about. But one thing I was really secretive about last year was the date that we had set for, my ex and I, that we had set for our wedding day, that eventually ended up crashing and burning. That date was last October. And as we approached that date last year, all of my friends, namely Ruben, everybody was like, what are you going to do on, at the end of October on what would have been your wedding day? And I was like, super emo, like, oh, I'll probably just go to the beach and journal and read and listen to music and pray. And Ruben was like, no, you can't do that. Like, you can't be sad on this day that, it turned out actually to be one of the best days of my life. You can't be sad on this day. Like, you got to do something great. You got to dress up or have a party or something. And so I told my roommate Melody about that, and she took it one step further, and she was like, what if we have a dancing party and everybody wears...
I gotta stop you there for a second. So because you have been pretty consistently for the last year and a half saying that the Royal Ball was my idea.
It was your idea.
And I have been very consistent saying that it was not my idea. My original idea, was that on the day of your alleged wedding, for you to get a bunch of your friends together, dress up in your wedding dress and ball gowns, and go to Denny's and have be fancy and go have dinner at a restaurant where you have to be. That was my idea. And all of a sudden turn into this stupid ball.
Okay, you just have decided to not like the ball. That's all this is. Well, anyway, so Melody's idea was we have a dancing party, we decorate, we have food, everybody dresses in their fanciest dresses and suits and tuxes even, and we call it the Royal Ball. And so last year, and it was like super, super, super small, limited really only to people who lived in the area who enjoyed dancing, who we knew liked dancing, and last year it was a very strange event. Like, it was a weird occasion to be. A lot of people didn't quite know what to do with it. And most of the people who were at that party were people that I had shared some significant bonding time with over what happened. And who understood, who had walked with me through it, who had been there and seen a lot of it happen.
Why was I invited?
What?
Why was I invited then?
That's a dumb question. Anyway,
you need a DJ. That's the answer.
So we had fewer than 20 people in our apartment last year. It took the weekend to set it up. It was still to this day one of the most amazing nights of my life, and it was so good that even the person who called it the stupid ball said we should do it again next year.
To be fair, to be completely fair, I did say that the stupid ball 2.0 should be a MultiMediaMouth.com production and officially an event for the podcast. So that I wanted to monetize it. I wanted to sell tickets to the stupid ball.
You can't sell tickets to something called the stupid ball.
Well, I'm sure we would have sold at least more tickets.
So anyway, that being said, that was one of the best nights of all of our lives, because who doesn't love getting to dress up, dance, eat food, have a party for no other reason than just having a party? Like,
Can I just say, I need to say one thing about that. I did not dress up that night. I did not dance, and I did not get any food. So I had a really terrible time at the first stupid ball.
so this year we decided to do it again. And obviously this year looked a little different. Last year we held it in our apartment. We literally took the whole weekend like clearing out furniture so we would have an open floor. And clean the patio, put lights up everywhere. This year, we knew it had to be outdoors. We knew that it had to be very selective. We knew that we had to have a lot of that we had to be really careful about the way we did it, because as we approached, at the beginning of the year, we were kind of like, sure, yeah, let's do it. And then as we approached October, we were all thinking, okay, COVID isn't going away. This is still a really big problem. We need to figure out if we can make this happen. And if we can, how do we make this happen? And so we kept it really small again. Made sure that everybody has either limited their exposure or, doesn't have any symptoms, hasn't been in contact with anyone, had hand sanitizer everywhere, touched base with everybody days beforehand to make sure that they were doing okay, that they weren't in contact with anybody, all of that. And we had it in an outdoor backyard, which is actually my grandparents' backyard in Palos Verdes. They offered to let us use their backyard, and it's a huge backyard. My parents actually got married there 27 years ago.
Wow.
Or 28 years ago or something. It's really big. They do weddings back there all the time. So for a group of like 20-ish people, that was more than enough room.
So yeah, so it was really, really awesome. I was looking forward to not going, and then it was kind of this weird thing that kind of, I don't even know how to say this without bearing the lead of the whole story, but sometime around.
This episode is called The Engagement, so
no spoilers, people.
Spoiler: Moxy and I are getting married.
Oh.
That's gonna feel
intercepted by Ruben.
Plot twist: actually, Brad and I are getting married.
Well, I was gonna kick off the episode by saying it's great to be here with my lovely fiance and Moxy. But
I don't think anybody is surprised by this turn of events.
Actually,
I am either.
They're probably surprised it took this long for the truth to come out. So sometime around August, Moxy kept asking me, hey, do you know if Brad's going to propose anytime soon? And I'm like, I know, I've got no information whatsoever. And then Moxy's like, there's one weekend towards the end of August or early September where Moxy and Brad went to Colorado. And Moxy's like, I think he's going to propose to me in Colorado. And I'm like, I know no information, because I knew. I'm like, okay, cool. If it happens, it happens. Although I knew that it wasn't going to happen because Brad told me that I would know before she knew, obviously. So,
wait. I have not heard that.
Oh,
excuse me, gentlemen.
Brad, do you want to?
I don't know what wasn't heard, or what Moxy didn't know.
I didn't. Never mind.
I don't. So Moxy didn't know that you and I had dinner sometime over the summer, and I had asked you like, "Hey, so by the way, what's the plan? Like, are you going to propose to her anytime soon?" And you were like, I'm thinking about it, but trust me, you'll know before she knows. And so I knew going into the season that you weren't going to be proposing to her until you at least told me that you were planning on proposing to her. And when you guys went to Colorado, you hadn't told me that you were proposing to her. So I'm like, I know no information, which is really should have been a giveaway that it wasn't going to happen that weekend.
Right. Yes, we did have a conversation about it, and I knew that because Ruben is very special to me and holds a dear place in my heart that I did want him to know beforehand. So that was the thought.
So what was
I am
funny though,
offended that you told Ruben before you told me.
well, I mean, he asked me if I wanted to get married before he asked you if you wanted to get married. So, and then that kind of was a big spitball situation, but snowball, I meant to say.
A spitball is very different from a snowball.
Yeah, it is. But so then I remember having a conversation with your roommate Melody, who asked me straight up. She's like, "Do you know when Brad's proposing?" And I'm like, "I got no information. He hasn't told me anything. And honestly, even if he did, I probably wouldn't. No offense to Melody, probably wouldn't tell you." But I'm like, however, I have a hunch that he's going to propose to her at the ball. But I have no information. I have no inside information, but that is my hunch. I should have recorded that conversation so that people would believe me later on.
I don't believe you.
It's fine.
I do, because you told me.
Yeah,
and,
I totally.
It ended up working out where with actually like giving the details of the proposal to other people, the timing worked out great because you had almost started making jokes about, oh, he's going to do it at the ball, like, you know, just wait and see, it's probably going to happen here. And I'm really happy that I talked with you when I did, because that would have been really unfortunate if you had joked with Moxy like, oh, hey, it's probably going to happen here. That would not have been very good.
Yikes.
Well, to be fair, the joke that I had planned all night for the ball, because I was DJing again, was I was going to be proposing that we do different things, and I would turn to Moxy and be, oh, Moxy, I propose that we have dinner now, and Brad, do you propose anything? You know, and that was going to be the joke. And I'm so happy. Literally about 4 days after this conversation with Melody, Brad and I separate from the group that we were in, and Brad goes, I have to tell you something, but I'm not sure if I should. And I go, you're going to propose to Moxy, aren't you? So,
oh my God.
And actually, I was a lot more excited than how I posed it. But Brad, here's the part of the show where you can kind of explain to us a little bit when you started having these feelings that you wanted to propose to Moxy, when you decided that it was going to be the 24th of October. Was I allowed to say that date? You know, and then, you know, just kind of tell me how this plan kind of went from, you know, conceptual to reality. And then we'll talk about how the night went. So Brad, the floor is nice and the floor is yours.
Yikes. Yeah. So on that note, I knew pretty early on that I definitely, I knew she was the one, and it always sounds really kind of cheesy when people say that, because I've heard it a million times where, you know, you're talking with an elderly couple, maybe, or just people who have been together for a long, long time, and it seems like one of them says, "Oh, I just knew that he was the one," or "I just knew that she was the one." And I always thought that that was something nice that people said, but never fully meant. But then it happened to me, and I had known very early on that, you know, she is the woman who I'm meant to be with, and so it was really probably January or February that I came to this conclusion. And keep in mind, she and I started dating back in December. So fairly quickly, I came to the very real conclusion that, hey, I meant to spend my life with this person. And, you know, once I reached that point, it was everything just fell into place after that. It was actually quite easy. I started doing research on engagement rings, and that was huge. Oh, and lo and behold, we have power almost. I'm just gonna keep talking here. So
I will say this. I am very, very happy to see the power come in and then instantly go away.
I credit love with the return of light. So as I was saying, yeah, I started to do research on engagement rings, which was crazy because I had never looked into it before. And it's just like this big Pandora's box that you open up and you don't know where
You
to
could have
begin.
also actually gone to Pandora.
Well, I don't know that Pandora would have been able to help me that much, but because COVID, and also because I immediately thought of the music streaming
I was
platform.
gonna say, what does a music streaming app have to do with engagement rings? But whatever.
Y'all, it's a jewelry shop.
Yo, I don't buy jewelry.
Well, I had to in this case, and it wasn't just that I had to; it was that I got to. It was really fun getting to know Moxy's taste with regards to rings, and so over time, I was slowly able to kind of accumulate information that gave me a very good idea as to what she wanted in a ring, and so from there, I was able to work with a jeweler who's actually based out in Israel. I was bouncing ideas off of her for a couple months, and I finally was able to order this ring that I, tried my best to incorporate all the details of what she loved into, and my my inclination is to believe that she likes it, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I knew very early
Well,
on that I wanted to propose.
she literally sends me a picture of it every single day. So what I'm gonna do for you guys' wedding is I'm just gonna put together like a slideshow of every single picture of that ring she sends me.
She sends me them too, and they make me very happy.
I can't believe I get to look at it every day.
Can't believe I get to look at you every day. And also Moxy. But yeah, so then came the big moment where I had to sit down and have a conversation with her parents. And keep in mind, I knew back in May that I was looking to propose at the Royal Ball, which was all the way in October. So I sat down with her dad. He can give you more of the details of that story, but it was funny because um, I knew that a few things had to happen before I had this conversation with him, and I knew what it took for the moment to be right. And I woke up one morning and I felt like, you know what, this is it. Like this is going to be the day. And turns out it was, but the last thing we had done, keep in mind I work with Moxy's dad. The last thing we had done that day at work was actually fix some toilets, which really set the romantic mood. But nevertheless, I approached him and we sat down and we had a great conversation and then I proceeded to head downstairs and talk with her mom, and their answer, thank God, was yes, I have permission to ask her to marry me. So Ruben, I don't know if I actually told you this, but and I don't know if I should say this out loud either, but I actually was in possession of the ring before I had the conversation where I asked for permission.
No,
And
you
that
didn't.
wasn't, yeah, no, and it wasn't meant to be an assumption on my part that I would receive the permission, but I just, in case it was a yes, I wanted to have something at the ready because I like being prepared. Um, and so thankfully it was not in vain. Um, I was able to use said ring, and after I talked with her parents, I was thinking about different ideas for the proposal, and then I thought about this ball, and I was like, it's all the way in October, but let me think about this. There would be a lot of her closest friends there, and it would be a setting where she would have like her hair and makeup done. She would likely have her nails done. I wouldn't have to get her friends to, take her suspiciously for a manicure. And it wouldn't be super unusual for there to be a camera. So that was kind of my thought process behind proposing at the ball. In addition to the fact where I know that, it's always been a place where she's wanted to get married, and I do know the significance that the first royal ball had, and I didn't want to touch that in any way other than to just provide a happy ending to it all. And so that was my goal through planning to propose at the ball.
So, what if you don't mind me asking? Because I'm a curious person. What did you say to the parents? Because I'm just curious. Like, how does one ask the parents for the daughter's hand in marriage, for the blessing?
Yeah, it took a lot of preparation and a lot of prayer on my end. Because again, it's a conversation that, Lord willing, you have once in your life. And I actually I after I had the conversation, I wrote it down because I knew that it would be something that Moxy would want to hear, and I didn't want to forget any of it. And unfortunately, let's see, I actually have it here. I do. I have it here, and so I won't go into a lot of detail, but I will read what I said because, again, it's difficult to it's a difficult conversation to have, and I'm thankful that her parents are as wonderful and as accommodating as they are. Excuse me, as they are,
Don't
because
get
it definitely
emotional
made
about it, bro.
I'm just so thankful.
So just FYI, if you're watching the video version of this podcast, which you should be because you're supporting our podcast, there is a picture of the engagement ring up on the screen right this second that I think that you will like. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that rock.
I sent you another one too. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, I can't pull that one up right now, but yeah,
How
look at that.
dare.
Look at that. Look at that. This is also very uncomfortably close to your hand.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfy right now.
We're all analyzing your hand.
What do each of the lines mean? We need to know what this line right here means. We need to know. Somebody who's a hand reader, please chime in. Let us know. Is it good fortune? Or
I think the funniest part of this ring. So my parents do gondolas, like the Venetian boat, the gondolas, and my dad apparently pointed out that the slope on this ring looks like a gondola.
Oh, hold on, let me
See that right there? That little that right there looks like a gondola.
You should be like one of those QVC people who advertise the rings. I mean, like, you have the manicure, you got the nails for it, you got everything.
Thank you.
That was it. That was my only.
Thank you. Ruben keeps muting me, so I don't know.
I apologize. I keep trying to be on top of the sound, and then I go to unmute her after she's already unmuted herself, and then I end up muting her in the middle of a sentence, and it's just we're having a battle of the muted microphones. So
this is a battle for control.
So you decided to do it at the ball. First of all, I was actively trying to get her not to do another ball at the same time you were planning on proposing to her. I know we're gonna get into the conversation here in a second, but I wanted to follow up with this real quick. Yeah. Did you not think that you should have told me a little bit earlier, just in case I was playing, the devil's advocate on the whole not having the ball because of COVID?
Well, it was funny because you had started leaning in that direction where you thought maybe it wouldn't be a great idea to have it this year, and you didn't really want to DJ for it, and you just felt like it was kind of not something that was meant to be this year. And as soon as you kind of started leaning in that direction, that's kind of what lit the fire under me to think, okay, I'd better talk with him, because if this keeps up for long, like, I don't want it to be a hindrance, and I also want him to be included. So definitely, I wanted to make sure that you were in on it with enough time to know, so that way it wouldn't seem super suspicious if you changed your mind on the ball. I didn't want it to be super last minute.
It was a little suspicious. No, I'm really glad that you told him, because literally up until like a week and a half before, there was part of me that was still like, okay, we don't have to do this. I could just bail. And I was getting super nervous, and I was like, nobody's going to come. It's going to be terrible. There's going to be so many mess ups. This is just too much. We just need to cancel the whole thing. And if Ruben had been like, no, we can't do this, I would have canceled it.
Well, and I was, honestly, there's a bunch of reasons why, I was against doing it this year, but part of it was like, we're having people, I don't know if I should go into this much detail, but people were kind of traveling to this, and I'm just like, I don't know where these people have been. I don't know I hadn't been to the backyard, so I didn't see how spacious it was, and could see that people could properly social distance and be safe about it. and literally, like, once Brad told me, what was going on, I was like, okay, I'm in. I even bought a suit. I bought a suit for this.
Suit. He looked smoking.
And I made sure there was no photo evidence of me being there whatsoever. So,
well,
I have some evidence.
Oh, do you really? What do you have?
Oh, just the normal stuff.
That
she's holding out on you.
The normal stuff for me is not stuff that you want to try. No. So the conversation you had with the parents, Brad, let's hear that. Let's get some taste of this, because I need some advice, because I'm going to be proposing between now and the end of my life, hopefully.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, and it's different depending on who your lady is and who her parents are. I'm a believer that you should ask both parents. I know that's maybe not what a lot of people think, but
wait, so you're telling me that I don't ask Moxy's parents if I can marry some random girl?
No, you still have to get permission from Moxy's parents and then the girl's parents who you're planning on marrying.
Do I have to get permission from Moxy?
Yes.
Hey, I can't speak for her, but it sounds like she has that covered.
You have
to get permission. Yes.
So I have to get permission from Gondola Greg, Moxy's mom, Moxy, Brad, the girl's mom, and the girl,
and the girl's dad.
Yeah, you forgot him.
There's 7 different people I have to clear this through with. Oh my god, I'm just gonna die alone.
That's how it feels to tell everybody that you're gonna be proposing. It's a lot of conversation.
I mean, you could have just sent a text.
Yeah, but like, come on, I care more than that. But yeah, so I mean, the conversation went well. I don't know if you still want to hear about that, but
yeah, absolutely.
I just asked if I could talk with him for a second in the other room, and he said sure. So I went in and sat down, and he's like, "All right, what can I do for you?" And so let's see here. I said, I started off by saying, "You are a very smart man, and I know that you're going to know very quickly the direction in which this conversation is headed, but I want to put your mind at ease, or at least try to, by letting you know that I've been very prayerful about this conversation practically since the day I met you." I said, I have all the respect for you and Moxy's mom in the world, which is why I'd like to be fully open and honest about my intentions with Moxy, if that's something you're willing to talk about now. And he said, sure. And I said, I want you to know that I am fully in love with and completely committed to her. I know exactly how much of a blessing and a treasure she is. And then he said, she's pretty terrific, isn't she? And I said, yeah, she is. And I want you to know that there's nothing I would do to jeopardize her presence in my life or yours. And in my head, I had a list of things to do and goals I needed to meet before coming and having this talk with you. And with the knowledge that you are a man who values preparedness, I wanted to make sure that I was prepared as well. And I'm happy to say that I believe I've met these goals and will continue to over time, just as my financial and career situations might change. And lastly, I want to be very mindful of the fact that I am not the first person to ask you this, but Lord willing, I certainly hope to be the last. So with all my cards out on the table, I'd like to ask for your permission to marry Moxy next year. That was basically my little speech. And before I actually had that conversation with him, I rehearsed that probably 20,000 times in my car, just driving around, cleaning around the house, because it's scary. It's really scary.
When did you tell your mom? Did your mom know before Greg and Moxy's mom knew, or did you wait after?
I'm pretty open with my mom, so she knew January or February that I was kind of leaning in this direction, and has been in favor of it since day one, and I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome. Well, I genuinely love, your mom. Your mom's a wonderful person. I love how we're referring to Moxy's mom as Moxy's mom.
Well, probably a good idea.
Just want to respect the privacy. Respect the couch.
So, I really, really love what you said. Then did that transition to you going and talking to Moxy's mom right after, or did you wait a little bit, or?
So, Gondola Greg and I talked about this recently, about how after I had that conversation with him, I actually wasn't sure if he had given me a yes or a no, because and it was terrifying because he listened to the whole thing, just very calm, very collected. And after I was done talking, he didn't say anything. He just kind of nodded his head and was like, "Have you considered getting my wife in on this?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
I was planning on talking with her after I talked with you." He's like, Let's go do that now." And so we walked downstairs, and it felt like 3 hours had passed just walking down the stairs. It was nerve-wracking. And then I proceeded to give the same little speech to her mom, and she just kind of looked at Greg and smiled, and they both gave me a very enthusiastic yes. So my anticipation was not for long.
See, I kind of feel like this was kind of like an American Idol situation here, where you needed 2 yeses to go to Hollywood Week, and Hollywood Week, you got the golden ticket. So yeah, so then you know, I knew about the engagement a couple months later, I guess, and quickly, changed my tune as to how I felt about the stupid ball. So Moxy, did you at any point in the process of planning this ball get any sort of like indication that you were being proposed to, or were you pretty much like, I'm planning a ball, this is the ball, this is fun, this is the ball?
as much as I really wish I could say, no, I had no idea this was gonna happen. I definitely leading up to it. It helped that there was so much time. That we had talked about getting engaged like months and months before it actually happened. So honestly, initially, when we hit summer, I was like, okay, there are a limited amount of options for him to do it. It could be the ball, it could be Christmas, it could be our Colorado trip, it could be another holiday, or it could just be a totally random day.
My birthday.
It could be Ruben's birthday. I mean, what better way to include the most important man in our lives?
That's a bit of an exaggeration on my role.
No, but honestly,
probably the most important man in Brad's life, but
I can get behind that.
it helped that there were so many days leading up to it where I was like, okay, it's happening now. And then it didn't happen. So like the entire Colorado trip, the second one and the first one, I thought that it was going to happen. There were many days where my parents were like acting suspicious when I had nothing planned in a day and Brad had nothing planned in a day and my dad was acting suspicious and asking if things were going to interfere with plans or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening tomorrow. And then it never happened. It was a little depressing, but also it helped because I stopped pinning everything on one day. And after the last time it didn't happen, I was like, okay, you know what? If it happens at the ball, great. If it happens at Thanksgiving, great. And there was actually a decoy email sent to make me think it was happening at Thanksgiving.
Oh, you knew about that?
No, they told me after. I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, once we got far enough along, I was like, maybe it's happening at the ball. It's probably happening later. It's probably not going to be the ball. And then when it hit that day, I was like, I think there was one moment when we were actually, and I don't know if I told you this, but I think there was one moment when we were doing setup where I thought, man, if we're doing all this work to set all this stuff up and he doesn't propose tonight, that's going to be sad.
Well, I just enjoy the fact that at some point this stupid ball went from being a stupid ball to Moxy planning her own engagement party. That for me will always take the cupcakes, and just be a wonderful little footnote in the history books of Brad and Moxy's eternal love.
Absolutely. And this is something that could not have even begun to have been executed if it were not for her amazing, amazing family, and for our amazing friends, which include you, Ruben. Seriously, I mean, I've told you before, but you've been absolutely instrumental in the coming together of the ball and in the proposal itself. Just like everybody else who was there, who saw it, who helped out with different aspects of it. It was entirely made possible by you guys, and so that
Who was
was incredible to have that support.
who was the most important person that helped you? I just need to know.
We're all winners in
I need
the
to know.
eyes of the Lord.
I need to know who was the most helpful person that wasn't one of Moxie's parents. I need to know.
I think it. Well, I thought they had a scarecrow for a second, so I was gonna say the scarecrow, and then I realized I'm just living in like a fantasy world because they definitely don't have a scarecrow at their house, and I'm losing my mind.
So we had food there, we had some cupcakes, we had all this fun stuff. At about 30 minutes into the party starting, Brad takes Moxie inside. They do a tour of her grandma's house. They come out. I don't want to know any of the details of what happened inside the house because I think that should stay between you and Brad, because I think something should stay private.
I will say it was very significant to us where he took me inside the house, because that house is actually where we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend.
Aw.
It was the place of a lot of firsts. So, like 2 firsts specifically, but yeah.
He has the Michael Scott shock face on right now. Not like that.
Okay, I feel like I should explain this. Should I just explain this now?
No. It's fine. It's fine. No, just leave it. Let's leave it. I want the innuendo to be there. So you come out of the art studio, and Moxie, what's the first thing, like the first couple of things you saw that made you realize this is it?
I will say, up until that point, he took me inside and we were just talking, and a lot of what he was saying was like, okay, I know there's a big party happening outside. I know everything is crazy and really stressful, but I just want you to take, deep breaths and relax and just be here in this moment. And so the entire time we were inside, I was like, is this it? This isn't it. Is this it? No, we're just inside. He just knows I get really stressed out at parties, and he's taking me inside for a minute. And so the second we stepped out of that side door and I saw the rose petals, that was what gave it away.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And obviously, Moxie said no, and they are not actually engaged, and this is all just one big plot.
This is a very awkward situation right now.
They're actually broken up. They had a very big falling out after the proposal went bad. Brad pushed Moxie out, down the other side of the gazebo, and it was really awkward. None of that happened. Just I want to clarify. None of that happened. So that was the proposal. That was that. We spent the rest of the night doing crossword puzzles and drinking hot tea and eating really good spaghetti.
Rubbing ointment on Ruben.
I had a really bad rash. So yeah, I mean it was a great night. And Brad and I had a really great conversation that I think Tuesday or Wednesday before, where I explained to him, that October 24th for me and my family is a heavy day, not a fun day for us. And so I'm glad that the 24th of October will also be a very happy day moving forward. For the past 14 years or so has not been a great day, but now there's a reason to celebrate and be like, I was there when they got proposed or engaged or whatever. So I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So super stoked, super excited for you both. Is there anything else that you guys want to share about the engagement and how things are going?
Well, I would like to share one thing, and Brad may as well. Ruben, I just sent you a photo, and if you're watching this video version on YouTube, which you should be following MultiMediaMouth on YouTube, I just sent Ruben a photo, which is of the gazebo where my parents got married and where we are hoping to get married. Can I tell people about the date and why it's significant?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So, if you've been listening, following us for a while, you may know that my grandpa has been in and out of the hospital for most of this year. He was hospitalized for a rare brain disorder and then, put in a coma, brought back out, shuffled around to different medical facilities, different doctors, contracted COVID, contracted pneumonia. It was a very rough year for my family.
And survived.
And made it. Yeah, he is a fighter. Like hardcore fighter. But he made it home like not even a full week before the proposal happened, and he was in good enough shape to be there to see it. And the date that we've chosen for our wedding is a really, really special one. It would have been special whether he had made it home or not, but the date that we chose for our wedding is the anniversary. It's going to be the 61st anniversary of both of my grandparents. So both of my grandparents got married on the same day in 1960. And
that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we chose that day to get married in that gazebo that you can see on the screen right there if you're checking out the video version.
Which you should be. Can I just say one thing about Brad right now?
He's hot.
He's a stud muffin, man.
Yeah.
Look at it. Look at this guy. Oh, nope. Wrong screen. Hold on. Sorry. Look at this guy. I'm going to zoom in on him. Look at this guy. Look at him. Look at the way he looks at you too. I'm just absolutely like stoked for you guys. So, an incredible night. Brad, is there anything else that you wanted to share about the proposal or plans for the wedding or how many cupcakes I should order for the wedding?
8,000.
Oh no.
Yeah. No, just super stoked that you were there to experience it with us. I wouldn't have had it any other way. And we are busy planning away, but it's going very well, and we're excited to move forward with it. Awesome.
Well, I'm stoked to be part of it. Hopefully I get an invite to the wedding. I plan I have a vacation plan that same week, so it doesn't really matter to me one way or another. I just want an invite. Probably won't be able to make it. So
is the vacation to our wedding?
No, the vacation's to Mexico.
Little seaside village called Palos Verdes.
I'm actually not looking forward to having to walk up that hill.
Ooh, yeah. We're working on a shuttle service. Don't worry.
It's gonna be me and my little.
No, for everyone, not just for you.
Big boys shuttle service.
Awesome. Well, Brad, I'm gonna kick you out of the stream here,
Okay.
because we have some more business to attend to here on the podcast. Moxy, we have to have a conversation.
We do?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I just felt like being dramatic for a second. That was the engagement, the proposal, the engagement, the proposal of the engagement. Honestly, so happy for you.
He's a good one. I don't even know how he exists. Literally today we were cuddling and I was like, I can't believe you're real. It's been
That's why you guys were late.
What?
That's why you guys were late.
Why?
Because you guys were cuddling.
Oh, I thought you said relate, and I was like, what? No, we were cuddling this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. He is just, this man is something else. And I will never, ever deserve him in all of my life. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah. So just a heads up, we are going to be on a little bit of a break the next couple of weeks. I think the next 2 weeks we're on a break. Maybe. I'm not sure. We had a staff meeting that got canceled last minute, so I'm not really sure what we're doing with the rest of our lives here. So we are going to be figuring that out. Make sure, so follow us on Instagram. Moxy, what's our Instagram?
At Best Friend Podcast.
And make sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/
The Best Friend Show.
And of course, we do have a website, Live Friendship Tacos.
.com.
You do not sound very interested right now.
Sorry. Yeah, we're good.
Is Brad showing you his butt right now?
No, he is doing some very strange chicken moves.
Interesting, to say the least. And of course, we do have a Twitter, but we never use it. I think the last time we used it was for the vice presidential debate.
Yeah.
And that was fun. But if you want to follow us over there, what's our Instagram or what's our Twitter gram book?
At YMBF Show, because our name is too long for Twitter. So.
Awesome. And then, of course, we do have a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/
Life Friendship Tacos, I think. I don't know.
That is correct. And yeah, I think that's all the time we have for this week's episode.
If you have any questions about the proposal, feel free to DM us, and we may or may not tell you, because some things are private.
Some things are, and other things you just put into a podcast and try to monetize it after you've been demonetized. So
yeah, for me, this is more of like a making sure we have everything documented so that our kids can listen to this in like 30 years.
You're not going to have kids for 30 years?
Well, that would be preferable.
I think you might be a little bit past the prime age for that. So
it's still possible.
All things are possible on God's green earth.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, follow us, share this podcast with a friend, and do other things. My name is Ruben Jay.
And I'm Moxy M.
And we are out of time.
So is my single life. Woo! He just went like this over there.
Well,
Hamilton pose.
I'm okay. Bye.